Who run the world? Girls. We run this mother. Who run this mother? Girls. 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 Who run the world? 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 Girls.
Hey, bring it on, baby. All your friends, you're the ish, and I love that body. You wanna ball explicit? I swear you're good. I won't tell nobody. You gotta be a BFF. I wanna see that girl. It's all women invited. Hairdos and nails, that Louis Chanel all up in the party. Where them girls at? Where them girls at? Who run the state? Who run the summer? Who run the world? Who run the world? Where them girls at? Girls at? Girls at? Girls at?
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Baby, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Mister, just a little bit. I ain't gonna do you wrong while you're gone. I ain't gonna do you wrong 'cause I don't wanna. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Just a little bit, baby. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm about to give it all my money. And all I'm asking in return, honey, to give me my promise when you get home. Just a little bit, baby. Just a little get home. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Think F-T-C-T. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Good evening and welcome to the third annual Women in Tech Conference by Gentry magazine. All right, it's presented by Seiler LLP and I am Diane Dwyer, happy to be your host for the third year. I'm so excited to be here. And you know, as with everything 2020, we had to do a pivot a bit to get you the Women in Tech Conference directly to you into your home. You didn't have to get all dressed up if you didn't want to. So there are some advantages to all of this. We want to thank all of you for joining us in this, virtual format. This is what we're doing and we're doing the best. And in some ways, there's some great opportunities as a result of it. We have a terrific lineup tonight, for example, that is sure to inspire you. We also encourage you to watch your inboxes for invitations to future Gentry Women in Tech series. That's on September 16th, September 30th, and October 14th. See, that's an advantage right there. We get to do 4 instead of just 1. So first, a heartfelt thank you to our sponsors for making this event possible tonight. Our presenting sponsor, Seiler LLP. We have a gold sponsor, that's 181 Fremont. Our silver sponsors are Morgan Stanley, Cooley, DeLeon Realty, and Harper School. And a big thank you to our sponsors in kind, J. Lohr Winery, Vineyards, and Four Seasons Silicon Valley, and of course, Skin Spirit. Okay. Thank you all for supporting this important forum. It is so fun to be here. It's so wonderful to hear from amazing women, and we couldn't do it without all of you being here. So thank you, thank you. Tonight's program focuses on investing in future leaders. While women have reached and exceeded parity with our male counterparts in higher education and entry and mid-level jobs, as you know, female numbers are still behind in leadership positions, not just in tech, but actually in all industries. So in the next half hour, we are going to celebrate and learn from an extraordinary group of women who have bucked that norm, forged amazing careers along the way, and founded and funded some exciting new companies. These CEOs, these founders, and VCs are at the top of their game, literally. So first up, I'm so excited. It is my distinct pleasure to get to welcome Shelly Kapoor Collins. She's a VC and founder of the Shatter Fund. She knows a few influential women there. Shelly is one remarkable woman. She is a venture capitalist with a focus on investing in early stage, female-led and founded technology startups, mostly in e-commerce, including health tech, fintech, and more. After founding her own companies and various technology products along the way, Shelly made the leap from entrepreneur to VC. She did it because she wanted to have a greater impact on the emerging market of female entrepreneurs. And the fund is aptly called the Shatter Fund. Shelly, I can guess what the name means, but why don't you jump in and share with us how you came up with the name and how you made this jump into the VC world. I'm so excited to see you.
Oh my goodness, Diane, thank you so much for having me. And that was quite the introduction. And thank you, and thank you again for bringing me into this conference. I so appreciate it. It's great to see you. So how did I come up with the name? I'm not a marketing person, but I can tell you that it just kind of fit. It just felt like, you know, what do women do and what do we need to do more of? We need to shatter more. And once we shatter, we need to ascend. And so Shatter is the first step in that process. And we're an early stage fund, so it made sense.
I love that. We're going to shatter a lot of things along the way. I like it. Okay, so I understand you live in the Bay Area with your husband and 2 kiddos. You've been named to the Forbes 40 Women to Watch Over 40 list in 2015. You've been appointed to councils by President Obama, Hillary Clinton. I'm guessing most folks listening are wondering, how the heck have you done this? How'd you pull this off? Do you have any secret sauce for us?
You know what, I'll tell you, I can tell you my path, which was not linear into venture capital. And I can tell you though, along the way, there were opportunities that came, but there were 2 overarching umbrellas that really brought everything together for me. One was my background in technology. Using my background in tech, I have an undergrad and graduate in information systems. I was able to apply that everywhere from corporate tech to political tech and now to venture capital, where I only invest in tech companies founded by women. That's the number one thing. The second thing is you have to really follow what you want to do. You have to believe in what you want. You can't settle. And if you have an opportunity and it looks a little different from what you thought you were going to do, just take it. 20 years ago, no one could have told me my career in corporate tech would take me to political tech because of an attorney general campaign in California for someone we know very well.
Yes,
and
we do.
who is now our vice presidential nominee. And that will lead me to venture capital through an appointment in the Obama administration. So just follow the path, connect the dots.
Are there any companies you're particularly proud of investing in for their success or for the women who are making a difference within the company?
Yeah, there are a few. So we have a portfolio of 15 companies in our first fund. We also have, you know, the underlying theme for these companies is consumer tech and mostly towards family tech, even where these services that we've invested in, these brands, bring efficiencies to the lives of working moms or just to women in general so that they can even more efficiently multitask, something we do so well and we're the best at. So having said that, I would say that, you know, Glam Squad has been near and dear to my heart from day one. If you know them, they are an online hair and makeup service. They come to you anytime, anywhere. You're not a slave to the salon and it just makes life easier. Hint Water is another one that I really believe in. And, you know, we just closed a new round and Kara Golden is the founder and she's extraordinary. She has a new book coming out, Undaunted, so you'll want to look at that as well. Kara inspired me to invest in Hint. I really believe in the healthy lifestyle that she promotes. And I think the third one is Fitz Frames, is one where, you know, it's where you can sit at home and you can go online, you can order your glasses, they can be custom to your face, and they can be shipped to your house, all without ever leaving your couch. custom prescription glasses all from home. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Okay, for the person sitting at home right now saying, I've got that idea, right? But the hurdles to get there, how do you even start if the custom glasses, how do you start the first product, right? Any advice for those women who are thinking right now, I've got this idea, but I'm just feeling like there's too many hurdles to get to the next stage?
Yes, what I would say is don't look at all the hurdles, right? Just look at the first step. What is the first step? Take it one step at a time. That is literally what I did. What I found was there's never a good time to start a business, especially as a mom, a working mom, a wife, a daughter. We have so many hats that we wear as women. It's almost like the time is never right. We have to find and make that time. So whatever you do, take that first step. Is it naming the company? Is it deciding what you're going to do? Is it finding a partner? Is it filing your paperwork with the Secretary of State like I did when I was 9 months pregnant and about to have our son?
Okay, you have to tell that story. Walk me through that story. You mentioned it when we were talking earlier, but it's unbelievable.
I mean, it's really, Diane, like it was one of those things where, there are so many priorities on a given day. I didn't even tell my husband. I just went and I started my first consulting company. I didn't want to hear no. And once I started it, I found out we were expecting our son. Our daughter was 10 months old. And I found out that the paperwork had to be filed. And if I mailed it in, it would be late. I was going to be out on maternity leave. So I literally hobbled into the Secretary of State's office to file my paperwork. It was quite an experience. But everyone got up for me and gave me their seat. So that was great.
That's the advantage, right? You kind of walk in and then at least you get to sit down. Okay, silver linings there. And were you scared when you were doing that? I mean, how did that feel?
I wasn't scared. It's funny, it felt great. It felt right. It felt good. And failure didn't even occur to me. Like last year I was at this, I was at a conference where I think it was Joe Montana who was speaking, and someone said, how did you feel? What did you worry about the most? Did you worry you'd lose? And he said, no, didn't even occur to me. I think that mentality, I mean, he's in clearly in a different mindset in a different league, but no pun intended. But I think no fear of failure. The worst thing you can do is not do it. So if you're thinking about it, you have to do it. Take that first step.
If you're at home with a 10-month-old and you're pregnant, go on out and start that business. It's the perfect time to do it.
I'm telling you, look back. What's that saying? You look back and you remember the things you didn't do as opposed to the things you did. So don't
do that. All right. And you had talked a little bit about people mentors and people who mean a lot to you and advice for others to sort of find those people in their lives, mentor people, but also have those mentors. Can you share with us any of those stories in your world?
Yeah, I would say for me, mentors have been, someone like a Kamala Harris, who I, just adore. And she inspired me to public service with her, Attorney General campaign. And I've believed in her ever since. And I understand now politics and public service and how much it means is the greatest service. But there are other people in the business world who have really, I would say, opened doors for me and believed in me. And as a woman who's starting off on a new path, the most powerful thing you can have is for someone to say, I believe in you, I support you, and I know you're doing this. And those two people for me, for example, are Jenny Johnson, the CEO of Franklin Templeton, who is an advisor to our board, and she's just phenomenal. And then the other person is Karen King. She is she's the legal counsel for Silver Lake in Silicon Valley and just globally. And she's, she really gave me that inspiration to go forward. So they are both very meaningful to me and influential to me.
You got to have those people in your life, right? Personally, professionally, it makes life easier, and it also helps inspire. You mentioned your Democratic VP candidate friend. Any inside scoop you want to share about her, or how it's going, or what it was like when right before the announcement came out, just for fun?
Just for fun, I'll tell you this, that I think Kamala is, here's what I love. One of my favorite stories is we'll joke around in Hindi, or she'll look at me and say, Acha theek hai, or she'll, she's biracial. But we connect not on heritage, but on values and what her platform is. But at the same time, it's very cool to me that she also had an Indian mother, and who's a great inspiration to her. So that's very meaningful to me.
And do you have some, the other sort of celebrities in your world, you have many of them, but I know you spend a lot of time with President Barack Obama. Any thoughts on sort of how he inspired you, or maybe how you inspired him?
I don't know, you know, I will speak for myself, and I will say that he inspired me in a different way to public service. When he won the night he was elected in 2008, the world was celebrating. He was something to everyone, everywhere on this planet. And that to me was inspirational. So from, you know, Attorney General campaign to technology co-chair for the reelection to then getting appointed in his administration to the President's Council for Women in Business, I feel very lucky. I feel like I'm the lucky one for the opportunities and being able to see those opportunities.
It's quite a resume you have there. It's like, I can't even list them all. There was such a long list, I had to cut them out because I couldn't get to everything. All right, so we did get some questions in from the audience that I wanted to share. So Erna from San Francisco wanted to know, you ready? Drum roll. What's the best makeup tip from your company Glam Squad that you invested in? Anything you learned from the best makeup tip you might be able to share with us?
So that's a great question. I love that question. Two things that they taught me. Primer, when you're doing your makeup, or especially if you're going to be in front of a camera, Irma, or if you're going to be doing an interview, or even just for long lasting from day to night, primer is really important. So that was one. And they also taught me the art of natural. I've always been less is more, but they do makeup. They're artists, and they are artists. They're not, you know, that's what their work is, and you're their subject. And the way they do makeup, it's so natural that you still see you, and I think it's beautiful.
I love that, and I agree. I've had the chance to get to work with Glam Squad too, and they're just everyone. You think, oh, I just want this one next time because they're the best, right? And then the next one's just as great and friendly and everything else along the way. It's about people. Okay, next question. And I love this one because this is actually a little bit of what I teach in my class at UC Berkeley. But what makes a great pitch to a VC? And what I teach is what makes a great pitch to the press, right? As a journalist. But I think there's some overlaps there, and I'm curious. What do you look for in a pitch? So, and this is from Lena of Los Altos, just so you know.
Thank you, Lena, for your question. What I would say is, as someone who sees pitches, we just had a great pitch yesterday. What really blew me away about this company, this telehealth company that we talked to yesterday, was the team. I know people say it, but it is so critical. They were so cohesive. Their backgrounds are just phenomenal. They are they're experts in their industry. They have medical backgrounds, which they know the problem and they can apply it to the industry. So it starts with the team, because once you know your industry and your domain, you can go solve the problems that need to be solved. You have that lens. And that gave me immense comfort right off the bat. And by the end of the call, I was excited. You know, I wanted to know, like, you know, and the market size is a big deal as well, but how they come together, it really comes down to the team.
I love that. Let me ask you, just out of curiosity, one of the things I talk about in class is sort of coming up with the angle, right? For you get pitched as a journalist 1,000 times on stories. And so how is your story different? What's the differentiator in it? And do you have a story to tell, not just facts and figures? Are those things that matter to you when you're looking? I'm just curious.
Absolutely. You know, so our background is tech, right? So my background is tech. I look only for tech companies, but I want more than the tech. And sometimes I've given the advice that don't get so stuck on the product and the tech itself. Give the story. Why are you together? How are you going to make this a billion-dollar company? And what's your path to that? What's going to get me excited as an investor? It's about you, right? Ultimately, people invest in people. And at the end of the day, the only thing that really scales is authenticity. So that story is really critical.
Okay. All right. Great. Glad I'm not off on that one. And the last question is from Maya from San Jose that we have time for. And she says, and it literally, I have no idea how you do this, but how do you schedule your day? Do you have any routines that kind of keep you grounded or feeling safe?
Well, that's a great question. I'm assuming Maya may or may not have kids, but I can just, you know, she may have kids. I'm going to come at it from the perspective of, they're number one. Their schedule is number one at any part of the day. So my day starts really, really early. I get up at 5. That's my me time. I do my emails. Then the next thing I do is I work out. my working out, my Pilates is my grounding. It is my mind, body, soul connection. And after those two things are done, I can do anything. And that includes
Yeah.
cooking, to kids, to husband, to whatever it takes. But I think your me time, Maya, is really important. So make sure you schedule that first.
Okay, and we'll do a little Pilates afterwards. Okay, anyway.
I have a remote here.
Not the right gear at the moment. Okay, Shelly, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to give you a second to give the one last piece of sort of advice, encouragement, whatever that is, to the audience.
You know, I would say if I look at my own path, I would never have thought that, you know, from being a techie to a VC and the path that I took would have happened. So if you see an opportunity that comes along, even if it's not something that you were thinking you might want to do, or it looks different from what you projected for yourself, just do it. Take the chance, take the risk now. I think, you know, it'll lead to something great. That's what happened for me.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you, Shelly. Just do it. It's a Nike thing, but it matters here too. Every day, right? To just do something.
Be a woman who shatters. Shatter the glass ceiling, shatter your ceiling. That's what matters. Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you, Shelly, the Shatterer. All right, thanks, Ton, Shelly. And before we begin our panel, we have a special treat for you as well. Our generous sponsors at 181 Fremont, one of San Francisco's most extraordinary private resident buildings, is letting us take a sneak peek at the spectacular penthouse residence there. In fact, Gentry's president and editorial director, Stefanie Beasley, will be coming to us live from the penthouse in just a couple of minutes. But right now, let's just take a look.
Thank you, Diane. Our whole team at 181 Fremont is thrilled to support this evening's episode. The women online tonight are extraordinary. And speaking of extraordinary, we believe that 181 Fremont is the most extraordinary building in all of San Francisco. It is truly amazing. It's a boutique building with only 55 private luxury residences. The Grand Penthouse alone, which I'm in right now, has almost 7,000 square feet. So tonight, I would like to share with you the premiere of our Grand Penthouse video. Let's take a look. Wow. Wow, isn't that beautiful? We hope you enjoyed taking a sneak peek at the Grand Penthouse at 181 Fremont this evening. It is currently priced at $46 million. However, we have equally beautiful residences with pricing starting from the high $2 million range. We'd love to share more with you in person and hope you can visit us soon.
Okay, that was crazy great. Thank you, Leo. And those views are just, I'm a sucker for views. The whole place was amazing, but those views are just unbelievable. So that was 181 Fremont. Thank you so much. We're going to see it in a little bit. All right, next up, I am delighted to introduce Erin Hastings from our presenting sponsor, Seiler LLP. Erin is an audit partner serving ultra high net worth individuals and families, privately held businesses, nonprofit organizations, and partnerships. So Erin, take it away for me.
Great. Thank you, Diane. I am a big fan of yours as a Bay Area native. So,
thank you.
Yeah, and also just really impressed with all of the panelists tonight. I'm so happy that Gentry made this pivot. I'm so happy to be here. So in a profession that is driven by numbers, at Seiler, we believe that our work is ultimately about our people. For over 6 decades, we've built strong relationships with innovative companies and organizations in Silicon Valley and throughout the Bay Area. We encourage all of our employees to volunteer their time with their communities. Our professionals and partners serve on boards of many nonprofits, and we sponsor dozens of events each year to help with fundraising and raising awareness for philanthropic causes. We're proud this year to sponsor this year's Gentry Women in Technology event. And I'm proud to represent Seiler today and to introduce you to 2 trailblazing and very accomplished CEOs. Let's see, Rika. First, Rika Nakazawa. Rika is a Princeton graduate who is now a senior leader, entrepreneur, investor, and frequent public speaker on technology-driven business transformation. She's the CEO and founder of BoardSeatMeet Incorporated, which is a Silicon Valley social impact venture. BoardSeatMeet is focused on advancing gender and racial diversity on corporate boards by building and leveraging social capital between diverse leaders and board members using modern technology. Hi, Rika.
Hi.
And next, Lauren DeMeuse. Lauren is the CEO of Rome Analytics, a healthcare-focused artificial intelligence software company. Rome's platform enables healthcare companies to quantify language data. Before Rome, she was the chief of staff to the CIO at Palantir Technologies, where she led investment in machine learning and artificial intelligence technology, and earlier served as the head of business development for healthcare. Lauren is an MBA from Stanford and graduated top of her class from Princeton University as well.
Thank you.
And what's that?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes. And Stefanie, finally, it is my great honor to introduce Gentry's president and editorial director, Stefanie Beasley. Hello, Stefanie.
Hi.
Who was named one of the most influential women in Silicon Valley in 2015 by the Silicon Valley Business Times. Please join me in welcoming Rika, Lauren, and Stefanie.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Have a good night.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to have you and Seiler back again. You know, as Diane mentioned, everything with 2020 did not go according to plan. We were hoping to have an in-person conference of 500 people, but we're pivoting, and in a way we're getting to reach even more because we're here tonight with so many, and we'll have so many people online going on, and we're just thrilled about that. But it's really thanks to folks like Seiler, 181 Fremont, Morgan Stanley, Cooley, DeLeon Realty, and Harker that have made this possible for us to not only present this conference series, but the issues of Gentry Magazine. It really helps us tell the wonderful stories of people in Silicon Valley. So thank you. First up, I want to talk to these extraordinary women. They're both at the top of their careers, and I can't think of any 2 people better to talk about leadership and leadership right now. The goal of the Women in Tech Conference has always been to discuss investing in future leaders, and both Rika and Lauren are at the top of their game. So let's just hear a little bit from both. Rika, I'm going to start with you. You are a triple threat. You speak Japanese, German, and English. In addition to being CEO and founder of BoardSeatMeet, you're also a VP and client partner at Conduit. And you've led an international life with senior executive roles at a number of Fortune 500 companies. And I'll just name a few: NVIDIA, Sony, Accenture, and American Express, and a variety of Silicon Valley startups. I don't know how you do this, Rika, but we want to hear how you do it. Tell us about your journey and your motivation to found BoardSeatMeet.
Thank you, Stefanie. Thank you, Gentry Magazine, for this extraordinary opportunity. Well, I hope I'm not a triple threat, more of a triple joy, but I will say that I was your classic overachiever, and I found myself living a life that I actually didn't design when I landed here in the US to go to college as an international student. But it was really through a combination of luck and timing, which is actually a very powerful combination. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs would agree. I actually ended up in a path of where digital disruption and applied innovation really come together and demonstrate the power of technology. And that became the hallmark of my career across the enterprises you mentioned, as well as the startups. And as a technologist, I thought about how to solve this problem of lack of diversity in the corporate boardroom, which hit me like a ton of bricks, actually at a Princeton Women Alumni event. And I started to fixate on how we could leverage modern, or what you might call orchestration technology, that would make it much easier for people to connect and have women and people of color gain access to what we call social capital, which is essentially those warm relationships that used to historically get cultivated when people would get together in social but professional situations. And of course, the COVID situation has really made this even more profound than ever before.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Lauren, I'd love to talk about your career journey as well. You started out at Google Health, went on to Parthenon Group, then Palantir, and first you were tapped as COO of Rome Analytics, but you quickly segued to CEO. Would love to hear about your choices, why a career in science and tech, and what's your mission at Rome?
Thank you so much, and thank you, Gentry, as well. It's funny, I was thinking about why science, and I think it all began with my rock collection. I was really nerdy in the Bay Area and loved collecting rocks and the shake and quake at the California Academy of the Sciences. So that was always kind of carrying me forward, but I wanted to impact healthcare. And so I pivoted away from geology and tried really every different experiment for how I could have an impact, and just kind of kept swiping left. So, just kept giving it a different shot, whether that was in the lab where that really wasn't the right fit, or on the Hill at doing health policy, and continue to just seek out where can I learn and what can I learn and who can I learn from. And so that's taken me across all the different kind of jumps in my career. And so Rome, the mission at Rome was really powerful to me, having seen healthcare through many different lenses. How can we help improve data-driven decision-making, particularly when there's kind of a data paralysis in organizations, at least that I'd seen. There's so much data, you feel such a compulsion, you need to be using it, but really unstructured text data is incredibly challenging to use at scale, and that was precisely what Rome was solving. How can we make it really scalable for organizations to use that data? And so I jumped in.
Fantastic. And I love that. I think that's a common thread amongst all three women tonight. You are all problem solvers, and you're working with women who are, well, you're working with men and women who are problem solvers too. But I'd love to hear from both of you, and maybe Rika, we'll start with you. How do you encourage others and empower others to lead?
There's so many ways to do that, given the diversity of backgrounds and people, and really the era that we're living in, where it's multi-generational as well. And first and foremost, I try to first remind myself, then remind other people that the definition, well, one of the definitions of success is when reality catches up with your imagination. And I think that that's really important to make sure that you nourish and also feed your imagination, and remember to figure out a way to make that into reality, and that will be what success is. And I also really try to make a point using humor as much as possible to talk about failure, to talk about the times where I've fallen on my face, because without those failures, you can't build the resilience And of course, again, given the era that we're living in, resilience is absolutely key and essential ingredient to lead. And lastly, and this goes back to what Lauren was saying, is about how do you cultivate a sense of curiosity? How do you maintain that childlike curiosity that energizes you and that just inspires you to continue to want to learn? We're all going to live past 100, right? I'll go back to school to get my law degree at 80. So having that sense of curiosity is not only just for your own self, but also to galvanize and get other people really excited about the things that you want to pursue.
Fabulous. And Lauren, you brought up something, Rika, that I'm thinking of, and Lauren, you touched on it too, that the California Academy of Sciences spurred your sort of love of learning when you were a child. I know that you've got 2 small children, and you're living in a world that's going to be taken on by them someday. How are you empowering the kids, and are you pushing them toward a career in science tech too?
So funny. You know, I think I probably do it subconsciously, but ultimately I really just want to see what their passions are and what excites them. So I think about it as just kind of a exploration together and try to give them a lot of exposure. And I do think that this environment has been probably the most challenging part, is not getting to go to the museums together that we like to explore and see different things. So really it's just trying to open up their worlds, and then who knows, I'm so curious to see what they end up being really intrigued by. But for now, my eldest is just sort of whatever mommy does, I want to do. So she's like, I want to be a boss.
That's fantastic. Okay, Rika, where do you hope to be in 10 years?
Well,
We know you want to go to law school in the future, but right now.
No, so of course, in 10 years, I want to be on the board of Apple, Amazon, and SpaceX all at the same time. No, I'm kidding. Well, sort of. I'd like to, in all seriousness, I actually am striving to be an exponentially better version of who I am today. In other words, I'll be continuing to invest in extraordinary groups, venture groups like How Women Invest, and funding the dreams of entrepreneurs from underrepresented groups. I'd like to be leading a multinational enterprise that is seen as a hallmark of where high performance is actualizing innovation, and how that's correlated to gender balance and racial equity all across the organization. And I'd like to be on a TED stage, or wait, how about the World Economic Forum stage? Not about my story, but sharing the inspiration of the women and men that I'll be coming across, and people of color that I'll be engaging in between now and 10 years from now, and showing how they become movers and shakers in the world in ways that they could have never imagined, let alone their communities around them. And lastly, I'd like to wish my father a happy 100-year anniversary in 10 years' time from now, and to thank him for giving me a chance at this thing called life.
I have no doubt that you will do those things, Rika. I'm just exhausted hearing about it. But Lauren, I know you got some good information as far as that goes too. Where do you want to be in 10 years?
Yeah, I guess first I want to be surviving the teenage years, and hopefully I have good relationships with my daughters. But second, I really want to take the advice of Shelly and Rika and some of the other speakers I've heard from through Gentry about starting my own venture. Yes, I'm CEO, but this wasn't my baby. I jumped in and helped steer the ship, and I think I'd really love to see in 10 years being the CEO of something I founded.
Fantastic. We're running short on time, so I'm just going to do 2 quick ones from some audience members. We've got one here from Janet in Burlingame. Who are your role models? Rika?
Well, historically, it would have to be Ada Lovelace, first computer programmer, and modern day Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because she's just fierce. And in my social circles, it would have to be Julie Abrams, who's the founder of How Women Lead. She's both passionate and compassionate and brilliant from her mind and her heart.
Excellent segue, Rika. We're going to have Julie on in a couple of weeks as another part of this series. So we can't wait to hear from her as well. And Lauren, your role models, any come to mind?
Well, definitely agree with you on RBG. And then kind of from my personal world, Laura Esserman, Dr. Laura Esserman, she's a force of nature at UCSF. She's in charge of the breast cancer center there. And it's just incredible to see how she can get things done at UCSF, and just has always been a huge mentor to me.
Couldn't agree more. I've interviewed Laura a few times, and she is amazing. I love her story. She went to business school after being this unbelievably talented physician, but she thought she wasn't getting heard by the boards at the different hospitals. So she said, well, I'll get my MBA so they'll pay attention to me. See, women have to go that extra mile. It's just inevitable. And last question from the audience. This is from Julie in Woodside. She is asking, top 3 tips you'd give a high school girl looking for a career in tech. Rika?
Well, first of all, don't just focus on STEM, right? Your brain has 2 hemispheres for a reason. And Ada Lovelace, who I just mentioned earlier, she was born from poetry, right? Her father was Lord Byron, so the 2 do come together. 2, I would really focus on what is it that excites you, because technology is so broad now. Everything is touched by or encompassed by technology. So think about what's the first color that you're going to take from the palette and paint onto the landscape of your future. And once you figure out what that is, do what you love or learn to love what you do.
Fabulous. And Lauren?
I mean, just to build off what Rika said, I think that finding something you're passionate about and then creating some kind of project where you need to build a computer program to do it would be a great start. Always like having a project and some goal you want to achieve is key. And then the second, I think, is just being really open to internships and trying to just cast a wide net and see as much as possible while you're still in high school would be really powerful.
Thank you both, ladies. Again, we're close on time, so I just have to close things out. Can't thank you enough for having joined us. Shelly, Kapoor, Collins for having joined us. A quick shout out to our entire team at Gentry Magazine. None of this could happen without all of you. Sarah Shaw, Lisa Lemus, Jennifer Pardini, Noreen Sheehan, Carolyn Schutz, Collier Granberry, Brenda Beck. Amazing, amazing. And a big, big thank you to Miss Diane Dwyer. You've been here for all 3 conferences and we just adore you and thank you for your energy and everything you bring. Thank you.
Mutual Admiration Society right there. Stefanie, thank you. Always great to see you and love all that you've done with Gentry Magazine. You're amazing. So thank you. And to Rika and to Lauren and to Erin and to Shelly and Stefanie, what a great 30 minutes, just jam-packed with information and inspiration. So thanks a million to all of you for being here. Thank you for everybody who's watching at home, whether you're in your PJs or all dressed up. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that you can join us again for future Gentry Women in Tech episodes because we have more to go. So go to gentrymagazine.com to register for them. Don't forget, September 16th, September 30th, and October 14th are the next 3. So on that note, stay safe, stay strong, shatter that glass ceiling, and have a great evening. Good night.